All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Chandan, and I welcome you all to my channel. This is going to be the ninth video in TestNG tutorial series, and what we are going to see today is data providers provided by TestNG. All right. So let's quickly start. All right. But before we start, I would like to request you to watch the last video of this series, that is tutorial part 08, because that is where we have started with parameterization and I have explained what is parameters, okay, in detail. So if you haven't watched it, I request you to watch it because that will help you to understand this subject better, okay? But if you know it, then we are good to start. All right, so let's quickly start. So what is the agenda for today? We are going to see limitation of parameters, okay? Um, as I told you that we discussed parameter in details last day on the last video, okay? But we have limitation, okay? So we are going to discuss about that and we are going to find a solution for that, okay? And that solution will help us to understand what is data provider in TestNG, okay? So they are interrelated to each other. That's the reason why I'm starting with parameters, and thereafter we are going to see just one particular one particular scenario of data provider, that one data provider method can be used to supply data to multiple test methods, okay? And thereafter we are going to see data provider with inheritance. That will be covered in the part 2 of this video, okay? So this video will be divided into two parts, part 1 and part 2. The first three parts, the first three items on their agenda will be covered as a part first in part 1. This is the current video, and then we are going to see this data provider with inheritance in part 2. All right, so in order to understand everything, let's go to Eclipse. Okay, so here is my Eclipse, and if you see, I'm using the same project that we had last time. Okay, it's a plain basic project with TestNG library, and today I have added Selenium libraries as well, because we are going to use Selenium script to understand data provider in a better way. Okay, because I felt the need that I should show you with Selenium. It will help you to understand. All right, so that's all. And then I have new package. Okay, for every video I use new package and create different classes. So this is the first class that you have. Okay, test. Let me just control this and let me close this. Okay, sorry. Okay, so this is the first class, test 01 parent Java. And if you see here, this is a plain basic test method, test add, which accepts three parameter a, b, and result. And what it is doing is it is summing up a plus b. And finally, we are using assert class provided by TestNG to validate the result that this will provide, and we will compare it with the value that we are expecting. That is result is the value that we are expecting, and the method is going to provide me this, the Java, that it will do the maths and it will save it in total, and the total and result will be calculated. Okay, and if we are using add parameters to provide this data a, b, and result. And for parameters, where do we provide the data is in TestNG XML file for that particular class. All right, so if you see, this is the plain basic TestNG XML file, and these are the three parameters that we are using. 3, 4, and 7 are the values for these attributes: name 01, 02, sum, and these name, they may match with the name that we have provided under parameters. Okay, and they are three, and the argument that the parameters required are also three, so we are all sorted, no error. Okay, so if we quickly run this, okay, let me just run this. So, okay, so if you see that, let me just come to here report. Within this, we have ran the test add, which is the name of the method, with this data 3, 4, and 7. Okay, because these values are the one which we supplied to this method. But now, if you think, if I want to run the same method with different set of data, say for example, I want to use 30, 40, and I'm expecting 70. All right, so how can you achieve that? Right? I don't see a way to do that using parameters, right? In order to test a method with different set of data, parameters is not the right candidate. right? Because if you go here and if you think that I'll just copy this and paste it here and I will just add some different value, right? This is not going to happen. What the system will, what my application or what my test method will do is it will pick these three values, okay, and it will ignore these three values, right? Why? Because if you see here, the key, the name 01, name 01, name 02, 02, sum, they all match, right? The system will execute this only once, and it will ignore these, I mean, rest of the data that it has. Let me just quickly show you that. Okay, so right click and run as test suite. Okay, now if you see the total test run is just one, okay, and if you see the result, it took only 30, 40, and 70. It ignored 3, 4, and 7, right? So if you want to parameterize this test, if you want to test it with different set of data, you will have, and if you want to use only parameters, in that case, you will have to add those number of test data. This is one set, another set, and you will have to pile parameters tags all the way here, right? But it will be of no use because, as I showed you, it will go and pick only one data from the list, one test set, and rest of the set will be ignored. So in order to parameterize, in order to test a method with different set of data, parameter is not the right candidate, okay? And we are going to see how to overcome this limitation, okay? So let me just clear this set. All right. Now, as I told you that parameter is not going to work, so let me just get rid of parameters from here and let me introduce DataProvider. Okay, so before I tell you what is DataProvider, let me just create the method and then I will show you what it is doing, and then it will be more easy. It will be easier for us to understand. So let's create a method, right? Public object, all right, and let's name it as get data, all right. And what it is going to do is, since the return type is 2D array object, so we are going to return something to, I mean, new object, all right, and then here, and this is where you are going to get, I mean, this is where you are going to add the data that we want, or that we want our test method to use, all right. So if you see here, we need three data. This test method needs three data, right? A, B, and C, A, B, and result, and all are of int type, all right. So for that we need to, okay, now this is open. Now what you have to do is, I mean, this is how it is written. The bracket opens, okay, and since it is int, then you can just straight away pass the value 3, 5, and 3 plus 5 is 8, okay, since we are testing addition. So 3 plus 5 is 8. Similarly, if you want more, then you can start from here or you can start from here, okay, with a comma in between. Okay, I'm just keeping it like this so that, you know, it looks good. So if I put it 5, 6, so 5, 6, 11, right? Similarly, let's take one more data, right? Because I told you that we want to overcome the limitation of parameter. We want to use multiple data to test it, right? So 20 plus 30 is 50. Cool. And did I miss something? Insert this to complete the block. Yep. Cool. So now if you see here, this is a plain method which is returning something is wrong. All right. So this is a plain method which is returning 2D returning 2D object, two-dimensional Java object, right? So that means when I talk about 2D object, I'll talk about 2D object, what is 2D object, and rest of the thing, rest of the stuff. But let me just tell you that this is the method. This is the method that is going to give me the data I need for this method, for this test method. Okay. Now when we have such method which gives us some data, in order to be able to use for a test data, for a test method, we call such method as data providers. All right, so this is how we tag it. That means annotate it. We annotate the method which gives the data as test data provider. Okay, and the only attribute that it accepts is name. Okay, you can name it anything, like um, data provider. I'm sorry, let's do it like this: data provider. Okay, and we have to import data provider from TestNG, and there you go, we are done. All right, so we are all set here. We are using 3 set of data to test this particular method. Okay, and remember one thing, that uh, the number of data that you're supplying, right? This is one set, another set, 3 set, right? So this set 1, 2, 3, they should match the number of argument that you have in the method that you are supplying the data to. All right, this is very important. If you miss anything, say for example you don't have int result from here, then it will, when you run it, it will throw you an error. Okay, and in case you are saying you're supplying only 2 from here, but your test method needs 3, then it is going to give you error in runtime, on runtime. All right, so okay, now test data provider is ready. Okay, and then we are going to map this map this data provider with our test method, right? So how do we do that? So all you have to do is open the bracket and name data provider equals to space and the name of the data provider. Now the data provider name is this, right? So let me just copy this and paste it. All right, so Control S. Let me get rid of this parameter. We don't need them anymore. Okay, now you have the data provider, and you have made a connection between the data provider method and the test method that we have. Okay, so ideally if I run this should not give me any error. Okay, because I think everything is set. The link between I have made the link connection between data provider and the test, and I am passing the same number of data that it requires. All right, so let's see how it goes. So let me just quickly run it as run as test engine test, just to see if it is executing the way I want it to. Okay, so if you see, we are running test add method 3 times, all right, with 3 set of data, and they all have passed, right? If I come to this report, and if you see test01, the class name, and within that it has executed 3 times the same test, right? Same test 3 times. The reason is we have 3 set of data: 3, 5, 8, 5, 6, 11, 20, 30, 50, right? So we have overcome the limitation of parameters successfully using data provider. All right, now let me tell you what is data provider. So data provider is a method which provides data, which returns data to a test method. This is the simplest definition of data provider. Okay, so let me go to the agenda. So if you see, we saw the limitation of parameter, and then we saw what is data provider. All right, okay, so let's get back to Eclipse. Now there are a lot of things that we need to discuss, but I hope that the basic is clear. Okay, so we will go now to the edge cases of data provider. It's not in edge cases, but some takes some different scenarios to cover. Let's see. All right, so the first one that I wanted to tell is, in case, as I told you, that the data provider has only one attribute, that is name. Okay, and in case you did not provide the name, all right, you did not provide, it's an optional parameter. So in case you did not provide the attribute, what you can do is you can take the name. TestNG accepts the attribute as the name of the method of the data provider. Okay, so instead of data provider, we can even provide the name of the method that we have here. All right, so let's see how it goes. All right, so let me just run it. Right click on it. We can run both ways, just I'm not creating the XML file as of now, so let's run it, because the data, it's just within the class. All right, so okay, you can see that the same tests were executed. Okay, all 3 were executed, and report, they are all green, and 3 set of data with three set of data, three times execution, same test, three times executed. So you saw that the method, if in case we don't have the name attribute provided for the data provider, then TestNG, if we provide the name of the method, then that is also possible, right? TestNG will not throw any error for that. All right. So let's move to the next point. All right. Let's create another test method, okay, and let's provide data to the method. Okay, so let's make a simple program. It should be a void, since test method should not return any. They should not have anything as returning. I mean, it should not return anything. So let me do this basic. We are going to check the length of a string, right? The easiest one. So we are going to pass a string, all right? So the length of a string, the string can be, let's say, for example, name. Okay, I will pass a name to this method, and I will see what is the count. Okay, and I'm going to sorry, I'm going to send an expected value for that count as well. So it can be, I mean, that depends on the name, that the parameter that you're passing, right? So in order to do that, all you have to do is you're going to define int, and maybe you can say result, right, equals to, okay, we are going to use already method for that. I'm sorry, name dot length. Okay, so this will give me the length of the parameter that we are passing, the string, right? And we are going to assert that. So let me just copy this assert statement, paste it here. The actual is going, I mean, the first one is actual and the second one is the expected one. So it is going to, I mean, this assert equal will assert my actual value with the expected one, and the expected one is the count. All right. So now this is a test method. Again, let's make it test method at the rate test method. All right, but we need to pass data, right? So since we have only one test data provider, what we can do is we can copy, and we can create one more data provider. All right, let's quickly do that. Okay, and this time let me just, okay, let's make it name equals to get length, I'm sorry, yeah, get length. Okay, it's a small one, small l. So I'm going to give I'm sorry, here, right? Let me just copy this, copy, paste, and name will be this one. Okay, so I have tied this data provider with this test, and this data provider with this test. Okay, they are independent of each other. Now if you see that this is a method, and this is also a method, we cannot have same method, right? We can do method overloading, but for that they need to be, the parameters needs to be different. Okay, so let's get, instead of data, let's make it get len. Okay, GETLEN, just keep it short. Okay, so now if you see here, this method accepts 3 parameter, but this method is accepting only two parameter. One is int, another is string, right? So we have to keep the format data in the same format. So we have to make two. The first one is string, so it will go in quotes, and say for example switch. All right, so switch is of 6 letter, so 6, and let's make YouTube. Okay, YouTube is 7 characters, so 7, and let's put my name in there. Okay, so 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 again, right? Make it a different number, probably 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. All right, so let's make it 12, and we are all sorted, right? We are just going to test this method will be tested, I mean these data will be passed to this method, and these data will be passed to this method. Let me just quickly run it. I hope the connection is correct. Connections are correct. Let's see. All right, then, we were lucky. If you see, 3 methods for the first one, and the other one, test length method, was tested with 3 different set of data, 6, 7, 12, right? So that means the assert was successful. So all these values and everything was correct, right? So we are sorted. But now if you see, we can have multiple test data. We can have multiple test methods, but it doesn't look good, right? Say for example, we have 10 tests, then we are going to have 10 different data provider, right? Which is not the right way, I would say. Okay. So what we are going to do is we are going to use just one method, and within this method we are going to create a switch statement, and based on the method name we are going to fetch the needed data. All right, so let's quickly do that. So how we are going to do that is, let's go with this. Now within this return, before we go to return, since it is going to be a switch statement, so for each case we are going to have a return, right? So switch and switch would be, on what basis we are going to make the switch? On the basis of the method, right? So this method needs this data and this method needs these data. So let's switch on the name of the method. All right, so how do we do that? In order to get the method, we have to pass the method, the method here, the method name you have in this method. Data provider method should accept method name as the parameter. So how do we get method in Java is like this. Method. All right. Okay, cool. And I have to import the statement, import Java reflect. All right. So here we will get the name of the method using method dot get name. Okay. There are other ways as well, but let's use the common one. So the switch statements start here, and the first one would be case. What is the case? The case would be the name of the method, because we are getting the name of the method. The first method name is test add, right? We have to put it in the quotes, all right, and colon. And within this, what we are going to do is we are going to return this particular statement, right? So let's cut it and paste it. Done. No syntax error. Similarly, for the next one, which would be this case, and let's go with the method name would be test length, right? We are going to, this method will, when we are using test data provider, this method will give us the name. So this is the length and the name of the method, and right after that we have to put this statement, this return type, right? Because I told you that for each switch case statement we need to have a return, right? And we are going to have, let's get rid of this second method. All right, so case 1, case 2 done, and if there is no match, then it's just going to return null. All right, so you can, if you see here, we have data provider get data, all right, and we have a switch statement. Within this, for the first method we are passing this data, and for the second method we are passing this method. So whatever we are running, it is going to call the same data provider, that is get data. And if you see here, we don't have get length anymore. So let's make it same here. We don't have the data provider name. That's why we are just giving the name of the method, as I told you earlier. And let's quickly check if this works, right? All right, so right click on it and run as TestNG. And you can see that it has ran the exact number of tests, right? 6, 3 for each, with 3 different set of data for each. So test add was ran with this data, and test length was ran with these data. All right, so this is what I wanted to tell you, that if you have multiple tests, then you don't need to create multiple data provider. You just need to create one method, and based on the name of the method, okay, you can call the data that you need. So tomorrow, if you have one more test, you add one test and you can add just one case statement within this switch. All right, and rest will be taken care by TestNG automatically. All right, the last thing that I wanted to talk about is, yeah, I remember that I told you that 2D array and all, right? So let me use one particular slide to explain you this. Now, data provider 2D object array, right? So if you see here, we have a table of two columns, username and password, and these are the number of rows that we have, right? So this is nothing but 2D array. 2D array means two-dimensional, right? X and Y. So the X is the rows that we have here, and Y are the columns that we have. So all the data that we have, if you have seen a database or if you have seen Excel, this is a screenshot from an Excel actually. They are all in tabular format, and each table are nothing but 2D arrays, right? They are in the form of p into q, or whatever, x into y. So x and y, right? So this is what is two-dimensional array. So the data provider provides the data in this format. Okay, they provide data in tabular format, that is 2D format, two-dimensional format. So if you see here, we have this rows 1, 2, 3. Okay, these are the rows, and these are the columns. 3, 5, 20, 3, 5, 12, 20, they fall in one column. This is the second column, and 8, 11, 15, this is the third column. Okay, so rows into column, that's why 2D, rows and column. Similarly for here, which YouTube and column Chandan Gupta, that is the first column, 6, 7, 12 is the second column, and switch 6, YouTube 7, Chandan Gupta 12 is the rows, that is the number, that is 3 rows. Okay, and the rows decide how many times the method will be executed. So for this, we have 3 rows, 1, 2, 3. So this method was executed 3 times, right, with these data. Similarly, for here, again we have 3 rows, right? So this was also executed with 3 set of data, right? Tomorrow, if you want to execute this, again this method get length, all you have to do is go and change, add that value again. So for example, 12, and this will go 14. Okay, that's it, done. You will be fine. You have to add comma. Okay, this is how you add data, remove data. So it is very easy. If you use test data provider, it makes your life very easy. All right, and the last thing that I wanted to talk is, you can use test data provider to fetch data from an external source like database, Excel, any other file, okay, which are in 2D format. Okay, so instead of these hard coded values, all right, you can write code in such a way that it reads the data from a file, takes the data and convert it into 2D format, and then give the methods, whichever is calling it. All right, so we are going to see that probably in future, that how we can read how we can use Excel as a source of data for data provider or database. Okay, because we have to use that is the most common way for our Selenium script. Okay, we will see that in future. But in the next slide, what we are going to see is, we are going to see data provider. And as I told you in the last slide as well, that we should not keep the data and the test method in the same class. All right, it is not recommended. All right, so we are going to keep this data provider in a separate class, and we are going to see how we can call that provider or call that method in these methods. I mean, how we can communicate, how they can communicate each other. All right, so let's meet in the next video. All right, thank you very much for watching, and hope to see you soon. Thank you.